the very spare look to it, and the curves that are so noticeable in your trees.
Yeah.
It's your particular style.
Make it gnarly.
You like gnarly.
Well, you know, the thing is that if you have never really visually studied antique growth, then you don't get it.
Yeah.
Everybody has a yard and they have landscape and everything's doing this, and it's all juvenile. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that a really ancient tree is on its way out.
Right.
It's short of water. The roots are so long that they can't deliver the water. It's in a constant wilt, and it's gnarly. And if you don't know that, you're shit out of luck, because everybody else is trying to fulfill a design concept. And if it's a straight branch, it doesn't matter. To me, it matters hugely if you really want it to look like an ancient tree.
Yes.
And ancient trees just have gnarly branches, but if you haven't seen ancient trees, well, what are you going to do? You grew up in New York and you got a 400-year-old tree across the street. That isn't it. Show me one that's 1,200 years. Yeah, an ancient oak, you know. Go through California and look at the oak trees that are up in the Sierra.
I'd love to.
I mean, it's fabulous. But are we on a time? Dave.
There's so much of this place that they need to see.
Well, I know it. Okay, let's get going here.
There's some fabulous.
This is a kind of neat deal. This is a cryptomeria.
Okay. That's unusual.
Yeah.
An unusual shape for a cryptomeria.
Yeah, it had been trained as a bonsai, and then it was put in the ground for a long time, grew into a big tree, and then I got it from Tim Boyle, who was an early bonsai guy down in Portland.
It's very dwarf
in the
form.
ground,
I've
and
never
then
seen such dwarf foliage.
Well,
small.
it's the dwarf cryptomeria, you know.
Oh,
there's-
okay. It's a cultivar called Tansu.
Yeah, Tansu, yeah.
Oh, I see.
This is a really ancient Pinot de Gary Azalea from about 1835. Came out of New York City. It was planted around an old church. And then they redid the sidewalks. And I went through it this spring and just cut those heads must have been 4 to 5 inches thick.
Oh.
You know how they get thicker and thicker? And so I just mowed them down, and
How did it come about being added to your collection?
it was sent to me by a guy who they redid this old church in the Sturtevant section of New York City.
I see.
And this was a hedge
I see.
that had been planted in 1835 or some unbelievable long time. And so they came and were getting rid of a bunch of this stuff. And so he just sent me this shaft. and so
So you got the shot.
I got the shaft. Yeah. And so it worked out great. This was all, well, anyhow.
That's a big pot.
Yeah.
That's a huge pot. It's a full leaf.
Yeah, that's a big red palmatum. Yeah, these are all bonsai trees. And
Larch is great.
this is weeping densiflora, and I'm about to hollow that trunk out. So I'm going to go from right here, from this gin, come right down in here, and make a big sabamiki in there.
Wow.
And the rationale is that it's not densiflora bark. And so anybody that really looks at it will say, well, how come this bark is straight? Because it's red pine on the bottom, but it's not the weeping densiflora. And so by doing that, it will destroy any visual that will tell you that that's where the graft is up there, I think.
That's a nice, beautiful shape to it. Now, originally nursery material or garden material?
Yeah, field grown weeping densiflora.
Wow.
So Pinus densiflora pendula, same as this guy.
Yeah.
And Ponderosa and Mugo pine and Shishigashira. I take air layers off of that. And this is my Acer palmatum, this plain Acer palmatum, planted in a lava rock, and the dead wood, I've treated it with penetrating epoxy, and it's just rock hard, and so you don't have to worry about that.
It's like a young cow.
Yeah, that's a side mount stalactite. These are stalactites from China,
All right.
and stalagmites is a stone out of California with quartz with.
And is this a poplar tree?
Yeah, this is from a blowhole over in China. I mean, Hawaii.
Hawaii.
And so I'm always looking for gnarly stuff. I brought this big stump in. This is what we used to have woods like this.
How did you ever get a stump that size into your
Well,
garden?
it came in 4 pieces.
Oh, really?
And
Even
the
then?
one thing that we bought to build the garden was a boom truck. Because I love big stuff, and it can be acquired here. I mean, there's giant stuff, but you got to have something that's going to lift it up. So this came from way down near the ocean down there where the giant cedars grew, and we just cut it off. It had been logged in the 1880s. So it's just an old remnant, old western red cedar stump. And,
Imagine how tall that tree must have been. How big?
well, they were taller here because the winds down there toned them down, but still it was a giant. You know, they were up to a couple hundred feet anyhow. But around here you can get up to nearly 350. That's a rosemary in bloom back there.
Yeah, isn't late in the season.
And I've got some Ponderosa Pines, and this is a real old yeah, this was imported from Japan
Oh, really? Okay.
by a Japanese guy back in the 50s. And every branch was straight on it. So, I mean, you know, so I sort of did all this kind of stuff. But
Was it on the rock?
yeah, it was on the rock.
Uh-huh.
And at least it was a neat rock. I've got another one, but the rock is real tiny. And here's this big tree now. It started out okay, and then things
I
grew.
got a trident maple where you can just barely see the
yeah,
rock
a
in
little bit.
between.
Yeah, I saw one of those at the show down in California.
I want to see this planting down here again. It's amazing.
Well, the tide comes right up to those leaves.
What does it?
Sometimes even up to where you are, extreme tides in December. We'll get some extreme tides that almost dump into the pond over there. This is mountain hemlock, and I just collected it and planted it on the rock. Took 2 feet of dirt off of not dirt, but humusy stuff. There were 5 trees in here. That's that tree. So
Okay,
it's a
so
layered
it's all
branch.
part of one tree.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this was a layered branch off of the original stump.
Really?
So 3 generations with several hundreds of years in between on it. So, and I actually have done
How
nothing
did
to
you
it.
get it out? On your own?
Well, you just dig them. I mean,
Yeah, but to carry something like that
Well,
with a
you
root ball
slide it.
of that size.
Well, you know, you got some people. You got. I mean, it's all a
Amazing.
muscle kind of a thing.
Amazing.
This is one of my favorite azaleas because it's so easy to pick up.
It's rare that I see smaller trees that can reach.
They're my California redwoods, and it's a little bit disheveled right now, but it's really a beauty. And of course, I killed the whole top.
Yeah.
See the whole. You know, I can't show you. There's 2 ancient old-growth trees over there. So all of these trees you see going up to points are baby trees. Okay, so a tree is mature when it stops growing up. The Forest Service definition of an old growth is a conspicuous absence of taper and a dead or flattened top and thick bark.
Right.
And so I've got 2 of them that you can see, but the fog is in. And they go up there, and then they've got this dead top sticking up. So there were a few remnants that weren't logged off. But all of this has been logged off, so this is all second growth. I do have one thing that you can see. So in the distance, those 3 trees.
Yes, yes.
The first one goes up and it has a flat
Yes.
top.
And then one in the
it's
middle?
mature. Is an ancient one, and the dead top has broken off. But
see.
its growth habit is gnarly because it's short of water. So the reason they become mature is because at 400 to 500 years here, the root system is so long that the pump starts to fail. It can't lift the top starts to grow flat.
All right.
Meanwhile, the roots keep growing. Pretty soon it starts to die down, leaving a dead top.
Okay.
And so that's what I do on these guys to mimic that expression of great age. So all the branches are gnarly because they're short of water. Okay.
Alright.
Rather than going like this as a juvenile. And you've got this dead top that's going down. You have reiterations, what they talk about, where the lower branch is still
Repeats
getting some
itself.
water, tries to grow up, but it never goes vertical like it would have if it was top,
Right.
because it's short of water. So it just kind of grows up kind of gnarly.
Right.
And so that's my whole design kind of concept on the mimicking of an ancient conifer.
Right. Right.
And I don't know whether you guys see that so much. I was up northern Minnesota, and there was a grove of ancient white pines up there, and a lot of them had dead tops on them. I remember that, but I didn't see any real reiterations on a lower branch necessarily trying to grow up to
Right.
replace it.
Well, our trees don't grow as long. They just the snowpack is heavy, ice storms,
Yeah.
and so they often die
Tougher
too
life, yeah.
too young. Yes.
The coast out here is pretty benevolent except for high mountain stuff. You know, I mean, you go down the California redwoods and just kind of a kid's down there. I love the dead wood, and here's a
Shishi Gashira
Shishi Gashira that I carved, and
That is so different.
and look at the lichen on it.
Yes.
And
That
it's
is so different.
It's pretty fabulous when it comes out.